Most people don't realize this. Christianity today looks nothing like the faith described in Scripture. Not because people don't love Elohim, not because they're evil, but because symbols, traditions, and practices were slowly added in over centuries. Quietly, strategically, systematically, and most believers were never taught to question them. We're told, it's just symbolism. It doesn't mean that anymore. God knows your heart, but Yahuah has always cared about how he is worshipped, what symbols are used, where traditions come from, because symbols are spiritual language. Today, we're exposing pagan symbols that exist inside modern Christianity, not to condemn people, but to wake them up, because truth doesn't fear examination. In Scripture, symbols matter deeply. Yahuah gives specific instructions: how the altar should look, what materials are acceptable, what imagery is forbidden. Why? Because symbols teach without words. A symbol carries meaning even when people forget where it came from. That's why Yahuah strictly forbade graven images, sacred poles, sun worship, fertility symbols. Israel didn't fall because they stopped believing in Yahuah. They fell because they mixed him with pagan symbols. And that same pattern exists today. The cross is the most recognized symbol in Christianity. Church buildings, jewelry, Bibles, tattoos. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The cross did not originate as a Christian symbol. It was a Roman execution device, a tool of humiliation, a symbol of imperial power. Long before Yahuah, the cross shape was used in sun worship, fertility worship, pagan gods like Tammuz. The letter T itself was associated with pagan deities. Scripture never commands believers to wear or display the instrument of Messiah's death. The focus was always the resurrection, not the weapon. The apostles never used the cross as a symbol of faith. That came later, when Rome merged Christianity with paganism. Many churches are designed in ways people never question. Tall steeples, pointed spires, obelisk shapes. These designs didn't come from Scripture. They came from ancient Egypt, Babylon, sun worship. Obelisks symbolized male fertility power. They were erected as religious monuments. Sound familiar? Even today, major Christian cities are filled with obelisk imagery. Yahuah never asked for towering monuments. He asked for obedient hearts. Yet Christianity adopted architecture meant to glorify pagan gods and called it holy. One of the biggest compromises happened quietly: the shift from the Sabbath to Sunday. Sunday is named after the sun, dedicated to sun worship long before Christianity. Scripture never records Yahuah changing the Sabbath. The apostles never did either. The change came through Rome. Emperor Constantine, a sun worshiper, merged sun worship with Christianity. That's why services happen on Sunday. Sunrise services exist. Sun imagery is everywhere. Yahuah warned about worshiping him toward the rising sun. It became normalized. Look closely at Christian artwork. Halos around heads, saint imagery, sacred portraits. Halos come from pagan sun discs, used to show divine power in false gods. Scripture forbids making images to represent heavenly beings. Yet Christianity adopted pagan religious art and taught people to venerate it. Prayer shifted from Yahuah to saints to intermediaries. But Scripture says there is one mediator, Symbols slowly replace truth. Christmas, Easter, Valentine's Day, Halloween, none commanded in Scripture, all rooted in fertility worship, sun cycles, seasonal rituals. These days were not cleansed, they were renamed. Paganism was never removed, only rebranded. Yahuah repeatedly says, "Do not learn the ways of the nations." Yet Christianity adopted them fully. This phrase has silenced truth for generations. But Yahuah never accepted good intentions paired with disobedience. He rejected offerings done with the wrong fire. He rejected worship mixed with idols. He rejected compromise. Truth is not about comfort. It's about alignment. This message is not about fear. It's about coming out of Babylon. Babylon is mixture, truth blended with error, light blended with darkness. Yahuah is calling his people back to simplicity, obedience, purity, truth, not symbols, not traditions, not rituals, just him. Most people never question what they were handed, but once you see it, you're responsible for what you do with the truth. Pagan symbols didn't disappear. They were absorbed.